So welcome to CalPayArt. We are excited that you're here and we are ready to get started. So let's go to the next slide. As I mentioned, I'm Terry Ball, Programs Manager here at California CA for the Arts. Old brains, taking a long time. And let's go on to the next slide. Just going to give you a brief introduction before we start talking about CalPayArts to remind you who we are. We are two organizations, CA for the Arts and CA Arts Advocates. CA for the Arts is your statewide arts advocacy organization. We are here to stress the importance to everyone of being an arts advocate and to make it easier and more effective for you to be one. We work in partnership with our sister organization, CA Arts Advocates, which is more the direct advocacy lobbying organization. They work with the lobbyist. CA for the Arts is the C3. CA Arts Advocates is the C4. I know, because I've been an arts administrator for a long time before joining CA for the Arts, how filled your days already are and how daunting it can be to think on taking advocacy on as another duty. But as we all know, the arts are tremendously underfunded in the state, and the only way we're going to change anything is by being a strong, cohesive, advocating organization. And so what I like to think of CA for the Arts and CA for Arts Advocates, I'm sorry, I've got to get that drilled down, as being here to make your life easier. We can give you the tools, we can give you the instructions, we can tell you how to advocate, and we also do the research. So you don't have to keep up on the 1,200 bills that are introduced. We can help you know where your advocacy efforts are needed, and we're also here to listen to you to find out what's going on in the state, to figure out where our advocacy and policy efforts need to be directed. I would also be remiss if I did not point out that, as I said, both of these organizations are nonprofits. We are only as strong as our members, and we are in the final stages this week of our annual membership drive. So the folks in field engagement would be very unhappy with me if I did not point out that we hope you will all consider membership of one or both of these organizations, and I will put a link in the chat to make that easy to do. All right, now on to the actual meat of why we are here today. I want to introduce you to our wonderful CalPayArt project manager who's been working with us for the last year to get this program set up. One more housekeeping, as I said, please put your questions into the Q&A instead of the chat so we can keep those direct. Also, this entire event is being recorded and will be available on the website with all of the slides and resources as well as the recording. So do not feel like you have to be, making sure that you get every single piece of information down. All right, now back to Martha. Martha has been helping set up this program for this last year. As we are now phasing out of the year of setup, Martha, as of Monday, will be phasing back into her many other roles in the arts community and will no longer be working with us as the Paymaster Program Specialist. So after Monday, if you have any questions, you can direct those directly to me at Terry at CA for the Arts, in addition to ACA. And all of these various and sundry emails and alphabet soup will be shared in the chat as we move forward. So enough introduction. Let's move on to Martha Dimson. Take it away.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. So yes, this is the end of our year of implementation for the Paymaster program, and we thought it would be a good moment to look back on the year, but most particularly to look at the program updates that have developed over the course of the last 6 months and since we hosted our last round of webinars. So that is essentially what we're here to do today, is talk about some of the updates, and then also for everyone to hear from some current clients of the Paymaster, hear their experience, why they selected CalPayArt, how CalPayArt has been effective for them, and then we'll turn to your questions. You can either ask questions of our Paymaster Program Associates, so the folks who are actually administering the Paymaster, or you can ask questions of the clients about their experience if you have those. As Terry mentioned, please use the Q&A. We're going to go now to a couple of very short videos on what a Paymaster is, and specifically what CalPayArt is for anyone who is new to this. For people who have been around the block a few times, this will probably be very familiar, but it's just a few minutes, and we just wanted to orient anyone who is new coming to the program. Feel free to start putting questions in the chat if anything arises during the videos. We have people who can be answering those, and then we'll also take questions at the end. I think that covers it for now. Thanks, Terry, for taking on this baby and continuing to shepherd the development of the program as we go forward. And Jean, let's play those videos now.
What is a paymaster? A paymaster works hand in hand with your organization by becoming the official employer of record for your employees, assuming many of the most critical employer responsibilities. What does a paymaster or employer of record do? A paymaster works as your partner to administer your payroll process from start to finish. Unlike a payroll company that merely provides tools for you to manage your own payroll, a paymaster allows you to outsource the administration of your organization's payroll. What are the critical responsibilities that a paymaster takes on? Critical responsibilities of a paymaster are the administration of employment agreements, both union and non-union, issuing wages, providing workers' compensation coverage for your employees, and as the employer of record, a paymaster will also handle any claims that arise, collecting unemployment insurance contributions and administering any claims, administration of retired tax payments and reporting, generating annual W-2s, filing and delivery, comprehensive payroll administration of union agreements, including required reporting, payments to pension and health plans, and collection and remission of member dues, administration of employee-funded pension programs, and assured compliance with all employment and employment tax laws related to wages and worker protections. What is CalPayArt? CalPayArt stands for California Nonprofit Performing Arts Paymaster. It is a program of California for the Arts with paymaster services provided by Austin Creative Alliance. CalPayArt is a paymaster created exclusively for California's performing arts organizations through a grant from the California Arts Council. What are the advantages of a specialized paymaster? CalPayArt provides all traditional paymaster services. In addition, they have a nuanced understanding of performing arts employment and familiarity with the many artist labor unions. Employment in the performing arts is complicated. Some artists require different pay for different services. Others require a weekly salary. Still others have negotiated rates for an entire project. Non-union workers are typically paid hourly. And in some cases, there may be members of your production team who are hired as independent contractors if they pass California's ABC test. Add to this any permanent, full, or part-time administrative positions, and you can see why many paymasters will not take on performing arts clients, or if they do, will only cover a fraction of their workforce. CalPayArt offers paymaster services for any and all of your employees. You choose the combination of workers that you would like CalPayArt to take on. California law now requires that organizations provide workers' compensation coverage for any independent contractors they hire if those contractors do not carry their own insurance. CalPayArt offers an easy pay-as-you-go option, providing workers' comp coverage for 5% of gross wages. CalPayArt also provides a secure online platform with an employee-facing interface that allows employees access to manage their personal payroll information safely and securely. CalPayArt's designated program specialists will walk your employees through the employee onboarding process so you don't have to. Finally, as a nonprofit, CalPayArt does not charge inflated fees for service. California for the Arts and Austin Creative Alliance, the partners behind CalPayArt, are dedicated to growing sustainability in the arts and culture sector.
Thank you. Thank you, Jane. Can we move to the next slide? So now it's my pleasure to introduce Laura Wahlberg, the Director of Finance at Austin Creative Alliance, and really the architect of their Paymaster services. Hi, Laura.
Hi, Martha, and thank you so much. Great videos. Loved them. My voice thanks you too. I'm closing a show and I'm coming out of vocal rest to speak to y'all today. Hi, I'm Laura Wahlberg. I am the Director of Finance here at Austin Creative Alliance. Austin Creative Alliance, just to share a little bit about us, is we are a nonprofit arts support organization, art of all disciplines in Austin and the greater Central Texas area. We've been providing paymaster services to small independent theaters for nigh on 17 years now. And we initially started our paymaster services locally, naturally, to the theaters that needed our assistance here in Central Texas. And very quickly, we realized that there were others that needed this service. And so California, ironically, was one of the first states that we started working through, or working in through Actors Equity Association. And it has been a most wonderful experience getting to help some of these organizations level up, level out, all sorts of things. So we've actually been working as a paymaster in California for over 16 years now. We started working with Actors Equity intimately, very quickly in California. Companies were some of our very first non-Texas clients. When the concept of CalPayArt finally bubbled to the surface, shall we say, it was kind of a no-brainer solution for Austin Creative Alliance to hook up with Californians for the Arts in all of their iterations and bring this program to fruition. So without too much further ado, that's the long and the short of Austin Creative Alliance, and why you might be wondering why a organization in Austin, Texas is supporting this California program. It is because we have been in California and we have been with the people of this industry all of these years. It just seemed only right that we should step forward and try and help bring this solution to life. So if we can go to the next slide, let's jump into some of the developments that this program has been able to create since we launched officially. Martha, wasn't the official launch date October 1 of last year?
That's correct.
I keep forgetting if it was October or November, but it's been a great several months. So if we can jump into the next slide and start looking at those updates. Yes, if you come to work with CalPayArt, there is an agreement, but the purpose of the agreement is fundamentally just to document that you are who you are, that we are who we are, and that we are representing the paymaster engine behind this program. And it discusses the services that are at your disposal. Coming to CalPayArt, this agreement is kind of just simply crossing the T's and dotting the I's. There is no timestamp on it. It is merely just an agreement that says what I've said, that you are who you are and we are what we are who we are. And your dedicated Paymaster Associate, or DPA as we refer to them here in-house, will be on hand to walk you through the entire process and totally give you the customized solution that you in this industry really need. Next slide, please. For some reason, I'm looking at this and suddenly it all looked like Pig Latin to me. It's been one of those kind of days, folks. One of the first updates we were able to readily roll out was matching state unemployment or SUI rates. If your organization is currently running payroll or has formerly run payroll and you are listed with the state of California Unemployment Department, that department has issued you, your organization, an SUI rate. Now that number can run the gamut on being really high and being really low. And in our industry, running high can sometimes be the more common one. Well, the CalPayArt benchmark is 6.1%. And since we've launched the program, we've made it so that if you already have an existing SUI with the state of California, you will never pay more than 6.1% of an SUI rate on your employees. If you can present to us the letter from the EDD department stating your current SUI rate, we will match it. No questions asked. And that will be the SUI rate that you will be paying from the time that you start with CalPayArt to the time you decide to finish your engagement with CalPayArt. Next slide, please. In addition to paying your employees, or anyone's considered an employee, or another word for it is a standard W-2 employee, CalPayArt is also able to administer pay to your independent contractors. So long as your organization is able to secure information ensuring that they are either currently in, what's the word I'm looking for, Martha? Incorporated. Thank you. So long as you can ensure that your employee is either self-incorporated or they meet the ABC test that Martha mentioned earlier, we are totally able to handle issuing those payments to your independent contractors. Additionally, at the end of the year, those independent contractors will be issued their 1099s by us. One more administrative task that we can pull off of your list. Additional benefit with regards to your independent contractors is California law requires that independent contractors must be able to, they must hold their own workman's comp policy. In the event you have an independent contractor that does not meet that requirement, if your independent contractor is being paid through us, they are covered by our workman's comp policy, just like any other employee. Next slide.
I'm going to just jump in on that one for a second,
yes,
Laura. I really want to highlight this. There has been a new development in California that we are required to provide workers' comp for any independent contractor if they don't carry their own. And in my experience, hiring designers and other people who provide, who kind of have drop-off services for our organizations, very, very seldom do I encounter anyone who has their own workers' comp. If you don't have your own annual workers' comp policy, this is a very, very difficult condition to meet, and CalPayArt offers a really easy way to do it. You just simply have them administer the wages, the payroll of the independent the payments to independent contractors, and they can add them to their workers' comp policy for 5% of gross wages, which is a really easy way to fulfill that legal requirement without having to scramble to get a policy to cover those independent contractors.
Especially when we're talking about these short-term temporary employees. Absolutely. Thank you, Martha.
Yep.
Next slide. I mentioned earlier your DPA, that they will talk to you about creating a customized experience. As Martha also mentioned earlier on this very call, our industry is very, very complicated. We have all sorts of employees that are constantly coming in and out of our doors as producers. And when it comes to exercising the administrative responsibilities around all of that, it can be quite cumbersome. Our DPAs are here to act as an extension almost of your in-house staff, to understand exactly what you're doing, to know what's coming down the pike, and to make sure that we are quickly and safely and correctly executing all of that on your behalf. So whether it is you've got 60 employees that are coming on to do one show, your DPA works directly with those employees to get them onboarded for you. If you've got 5 people coming in and 7 people going out, and we are here to help manage that no matter what it is. So when we're talking about customized solutions available, it's not just also about the administrative lift and the way things can change and the way your particular organization works versus your neighbor who might run their business completely differently. CalPayArt is here and has been created to be as flexible and customizable as conceivably possible within the letter of the law, naturally. Next slide, please.
I'm going to address this slide. And I see my little spotlight.
Yep.
Yep, there we are. Over the course of this year, many clients have asked, well, do you offer trainings for, anti-harassment trainings? Do you provide these different HR services? CalPayArt is a paymaster. It is not an HR company. We thought about developing resources at CA for the Arts that would provide sort of a checklist of what else you need to be looking at HR-wise as a performing arts organization, so that you could remain in compliance with California law. However, according to the California Association of Nonprofits, there is about, on average, one new law per month in HR that will impact nonprofits in California. So to keep up with that is sort of deeply concerning. However, the California Association of Nonprofits has developed something which is extraordinary. It is their mineral platform, and it offers a comprehensive HR compliance for California nonprofits. It is a free benefit of membership. So I have put a link in the chat, and I will put it in again. I encourage you to watch that video, which is a walkthrough of the platform. It shows you how they will generate an employee handbook for you. It shows you how you can run all of your employee trainings through them. It shows you how you can set up alerts for anything that might impact you. You get these little alerts that will tell you, oh, here's this new law. Would you like us to update your employee handbook to incorporate this so that you remain in compliance? And the best thing, there are live people who are available to talk to you 9 to 5, and it's a tremendous resource to have access to HR professionals at all times. So my feeling is the best practice for any person running a small nonprofit performing arts organization is simply to use this platform to stay in compliance and to get alerts about anything that might change that you need to do. It gives you access to great experts, and you can rest easy that there are not things that you don't know that you need to know. So again, please, at your convenience, take a look at this webinar, which we're sharing with you here. You can write directly to Cal Nonprofits, or you can write to me, or you can write to Terry if you want more information. Really strongly encourage everyone to take advantage of this resource, because HR in California is challenging, and the penalties for noncompliance can be severe. So best is to let the people who can really help you. Okay, thank you. Next slide. So now we're going to turn to maybe the best part, which is talking to some of your colleagues about their experiences, what brought them to CalPayArt, what they have found that has been helpful or not helpful. And I think we'll just go in order here. Maybe, Jean, maybe we could take off our slides and go back to gallery views so that everybody can be seen, and I will introduce the people who are going to speak to you today. So the first person is Tracy Lee. Tracy is the artistic director of Ensemble Studio Theater Los Angeles, and she has the unique experience of having worked with CalPayArt both as an actor and in a producing capacity.
Hi, everyone. So yes, I first encountered Austin Creative with I was in John Lawrence Rivera's production. He is the last speaker in this list. He earlier this year had a production of a play called 3, and I was an actor in that piece. And I found the onboarding very simple, very easy. And so when it came time for us to do, as ESTLA, for us to do our first production back since the pandemic, I was looking for someone to handle our payroll. I wasn't sure Paymaster payroll, since we hadn't done a production since the before times, we only started using any kind of payroll service maybe in spring of last year. We got a CAC grant, California Arts Council grant, to do some arts education programming, and one of the requirements was that we had to have a payroll service. And it turned out that our accountant who does our taxes also ran a payroll company. And I was like, well, cool, this seems to be the easiest thing. What complicated it is we are also, as ESTLA, we are also the fiscal sponsor of another arts organization. And this arts organization was also using this same person to do their payroll. This person was also, because they're a company member, was running our arts education program. And the problem that we started to run into is that our bookkeeper, who's in-house, and this person running payroll could not seem to keep straight what were the fiscal sponsees payroll situation and what was ours. They could not keep the two jobs straight. So no matter how I tried to identify the jobs on the what do you call it? The thing where you put, I can't think what it's called. Anyway, no matter how I tried to identify the jobs on the timesheets, they kept mixing it up. So what happened is, by the time we got to the end of the reporting period for the grant earlier this year, I went back and I asked them to pull a report, and everything was completely mixed up between our fiscal sponsee and our work. And I had to go back and completely personally reconstruct all of the payroll so that I could do my reporting. And I said, we're about to do our first production back. I do not feel that whoever is running this is going to have the ability or the knowledge to handle what we need for our first production. And it was only a 3-person show, but we had some independent contractors, designers, and we also needed workers' comp. And no matter who I talked to, no matter where I looked, I could not seem to find a reasonably priced or even any really service for workers' comp. And our fiscal sponsee was also at the point of changing over who was handling their things, and they looked around and looked at other people, and they were charging way too much. They were charging like 25% for like pretty much everything. It was ridiculous. So I said, tell you what, hold on. I'm going to talk to Austin Creative and see if they can understand what we're doing and what our needs are, and if they can help us out. And we worked with Christy, who was fantastic. And it turned out she was actually my paymaster for the production of 3. So we already kind of weirdly had a working relationship. And our needs change throughout the year. Sometimes we're running this arts ed program, and sometimes, well, for the first time, we're producing, and then we have an incredibly small staff, which is all part-time. Sometimes it's just me, sometimes it's me and somebody else. And it was like, we have a bunch of different needs throughout the year. Is this something that you all can handle or understand? And she was fantastic, and like got on meetings with us and just explained everything to us. And no matter how many emails, no matter how many meetings we have to have, really terrific in basically having our backs, letting us know what they could provide, what the rates, everything was very clear, what they needed from us was very clear. And when it comes time for us to start up our education program again in the fall, I'm going to be switching everything over to Austin Creative. That's what I got.
Thank you so much, Tracy. So I'm sure people will have questions, but let's move on to our next guest and client, Matthew McCrae. Matthew is the artistic director of Son of Semele. And Matthew, what brought you to the Paymaster?
There's a lot of repeat with Tracy a bit. We're a very small organization, staff of me, and that is also just kind of uncompensated as well. So really 0 staff. So the primary trigger was, how do I simplify my end of year reporting? Because when I get to that place, like just my personal, just dealing with my personal taxes in addition to my organizational taxes is very overwhelming. So, so that was a huge part of it. But the real unusual situation that we found ourselves in this year is that we went into a co-production with another company. And the co-production for Actors Equity side is a non-membership company partner. And so because of that collaboration, we had to figure out a way to abide by all the legalities of that, and then also deal with equity in a different way. And so the solution was we needed to do an equity contract the way that they've been doing their contracts, but B, we also need to pay people in a new way and through a new mechanism. And they had a paymaster that was not Austin Creative Alliance, but because of some logistical things with that, we decided that I would provide the paymaster. And so it was the first time that we, as a very small little company, we're going to engage in some sort of larger contract for paying artists. I have, previous to this project, paid everybody individually myself. So this is a very different experience for me as a producer. One of the big, I would say, biggest benefits of using Austin Creative Alliance so far for me, I don't have anything to compare it to, but it's very personal. And I did reach out to one other paymaster in the process of doing this, and they literally looked at the budget we were working with, and they said, we're not interested in your little money. So that gives you a sense of it. It was I think they were mainly dealing with films or something, but it's very personal. It's very approachable. Questions are welcomed. And in the previous presentation, you mentioned about the payment of independent contractors. I worked with Christy a lot on the development of the writer for my contracts so that our independent contractors would pass and prove that they are independent contractors through ABC. So that was also very helpful and sort of, I think, above the call for them, and it really made that whole process of sort of getting my organization in alignment and in partnership with Austin Creative Alliance to be less daunting. Since starting, we're now in rehearsals, so payments are going out and artists are getting onboarded. And as far as I know, everything seems to be going great. So there are no hiccups, there are no problems, aside from people that I've hired that are not doing the actual onboarding process. They're not responding to the emails that are coming at them, and that is not Austin's problem or fault. And then it's on me to sort of nudge them and be a good advocate for them to be participatory in the process. But overall, it's been a great experience. We are a very small organization, and working with an organization that would be a partner, that is a nonprofit, that seems to understand the challenges of having no staff, was really important to me. So that was the big winner for me.
Thank you so
That's probably
much,
all I
Matt.
should say.
Yep. I'm going to introduce now An Yuen, who is the artistic director of Chance Theater. This is a larger organization, and An is perhaps the person who has the longest relationship with Austin Creative Alliance because it predates the CALPAYART program. An, maybe you can talk about what it is that you find still valuable about working with a paymaster, even though you have the capacity at your size to run your own payroll.
Yeah, we use Austin Creative Alliance. We worked with Austin Creative Alliance before the pandemic with our equity contracts, and then we just started up with them recently in March. So since March, I think we've had three shows. We're in the middle or the start of the fourth show with them, and it's really, for us, it's about cost and it's about time, right? So we feel like that offer to lock in your unemployment insurance rate we have a very low rate, so to be able to lock that in now, I think will save us money over time, and we think that's a good investment. And of course, all the onboarding, all the stuff about all the CalSaver stuff, and of course, so what we use Austin Creative Alliance for all our actors and our stage managers. And ultimately, the way we think about it is we're using them for the people who are most likely to go on unemployment. We've been around for 25 years, and we didn't really have that until we started paying everyone on payroll, and that's when the unemployment insurance rate starts to move up. And so to lock that in we believe will save us money over time. And then the whole CalSavers thing, the whole pension thing, that's they say it's not a lot of work, but it is a lot of work, and it's great to not have to worry about that. And of course, the onboarding process saves us a lot of time too. So so we're still doing our payroll for staff and for other like our teaching artists and those types of things, but for specifically productions, actors and stage managers, we believe it's well worth the effort.
That's great. Thank you so much. And John, let me introduce you, John Lawrence Rivera, the artistic director of Playwrights Arena. And I love what you told me about I mean, some people have touched on it a little bit, but just, the challenges of technology challenged, employees who may be very nervous, and how they were helped.
Yeah, I mean, I think the most important thing for me is just there was no headache whatsoever on my end, so which was great. When I spoke with Christy and we set up our payroll, when it was time for onboarding, like Tracy was saying earlier, we have some other actors who were a little challenged with, with trying to figure out how to onboard their information. And they asked me, obviously, because their contact is me, and my response is talk to Christy. I have no idea how to do the onboarding thing. And literally, I will see them at rehearsal, and they will say, "Oh, Christy got back to me, and she walked me through it, and we were able to put our information in." So it's been really helpful in that way. Also, we had a little bit of a snag with Actors Equity asking for a report. And I just forwarded the email directly to Christy saying, "Weren't you supposed to take care of this?" And her response was, "Yes, of course." And we usually do it at the end of the play. But Equity was looking for it, on a weekly basis, a report. And so they took care of it. They reached out to Equity saying that all of their services in the past have always that they've done it towards the end of the run, and they give the full report then. And I guess it was all taken care of, because I never heard anything about it after the email that I got from Actors Equity. So I find that using Austin Creative was really helpful for my sanity as a producer and as a director, so that I can continue doing the art and not be bogged down with, oh God, I've got to figure out taxes and all of these things and hours. And we just filed a report with Christy, and everything has been handled that way.
That's great. Okay, so there are some wonderful testimonials, I think. I really love that, John, about saving the sanity. I think it's there's so many challenges now in creating work at our level in the performing arts, and having a partner who can take care of so many of these things is wonderful. Thinking about unemployment and what Ann had to say, if you anticipate you're going to have many unemployment claims, not only having the insurance covered, but also having a partner who's going to administer those claims, or God forbid, any workers' compensation claims, is also something that can keep you sleeping better at night, knowing that's not going to come back to to haunt you and to really suck up your time. All right, so how are we doing on the questions? Do we have things that people would like to ask? Does anyone want to raise their hand? Are there other questions that we can address today?
While we're waiting for anyone to speak up, I did want to just clear up one thing that was mentioned earlier. This is not a big deal, but I just don't want us to be giving out any inaccurate information.
Thank you, Terry.
Mineral, the really wonderful human resources platform that Martha was talking about, is actually not something that Cal Nonprofits has developed. It is an existing HR platform that you can subscribe to. That is actually quite expensive. The wonderful thing that Cal Nonprofits has done is they have an arrangement with Mineral. So if you're a member of Cal Nonprofits, you get a free subscription to Mineral. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody went away with the correct information, because it is a fabulous HR service. I wanted to make sure that we're giving the correct information there. So on to questions.
I'm going to raise a question that may be a question for others, Laura. Can a fiscally sponsored project use the Paymaster services? And what about for-profit producers?
Absolutely. Great question. The first part, sponsored projects. Absolutely. And when it comes, well, sorry, mind is moving too fast for my mouth. If you're a sponsored project and you would like to participate in CalPayArt and use the Paymaster services, absolutely. Call us, fill out the online form. Let us know that you're a sponsored project. We will initiate a conversation between you, us, and your sponsor, because we understand we are fiscal sponsors ourselves. We understand those relationships, and what we want to do is make sure that we understand your relationship with them fully, so that when we are providing our Paymaster services to you, they are in line with your existing relationship with your sponsor. With regards to for-profit organizations, now this program was established for, I just moved my camera up so I'm not looking at, y'all aren't looking at my forehead. When it comes to for-profit organizations, this program is specifically set up for nonprofit organizations. But that doesn't mean that you are totally out of luck. As far as I'm concerned, if you need a Paymaster service, we will provide you a Paymaster service. I just can't guarantee that it will be through the CalPayArt program. Make sense?
Yeah, and I'll just address that. So CalPayArt has Paymaster services that are powered by Austin Creative Alliance, but Austin Creative Alliance works nationally. They work, again, in all sorts of different capacities. So they do have the experience to handle many different types. I think you recently did an off-Broadway show. I mean, they have long experience. So you will find Paymaster services with Austin Creative Alliance. If you are not a California company or you are not a nonprofit, it may not be through the specific CalPayArt program, but the services will be provided by the same entity.
Yes, we're currently actually serving in 28 different states across the contiguous, if you say that word correctly, US. It used to be 25 back in November, but now we're up to 28.
And there's another question that does come up regularly, so I'm going to raise it again. It's a question that we've had many times. It's asking, what are the differences between a payroll company like Paychex and a Paymaster? I'm going to say one small thing, and then I'm going to let you go into more depth. Because we've gotten this question so many times. So a Paymaster becomes the employer of record for your employees. So they administer your payroll from beginning to end. So you don't have to. But what that also means is they take on a lot of responsibility. So all the tax reporting, all of the issuing of W-2s, everything that you have to do, the reports back to Actors Equity Association, they do them. And in the case of workers' comp and unemployment insurance, your employees go into the CalPayArt actually into the entire Austin Creative Alliance pool. So that's what secures the rate. And that is where that coverage comes from. That's where their paychecks come from. And in the event of any claims, Austin Creative Alliance handles those claims so that you don't have to. So you're not going to get, if a bunch of people go on unemployment, you're not going to get a huge hit to your unemployment rate because you've had all these claims filed. Somebody hurts themselves, they'll see that process through. So it is a much higher level of service than a payroll company, which will give you the tools to handle all of those things yourselves. But it's also a little bit more expensive because CalPayArt is a nonprofit. The rates are low compared to most paymasters. And now, Laura, I will let you speak, further to how you see that relationship.
That's a really great place to segue when it comes to cost, because metaphorically speaking, if you're talking about Gusto or Paychex or ADP, they're a tool, a wrench. Working with a paymaster, and CalPayArt specifically, is instead of you being given a wrench and say, here's the tool for you to use, you've just brought a full-time handyman in to work for you. So we not only bring our own tools, we are constantly on the lookout for other things that need to be dealt with. When we see something that is needing to be dealt with, we do it right away and we take responsibility for it. Metaphorically speaking, that is the biggest difference. So whereas Martha was mentioning that cost-wise, if you are currently using Paychex or Gusto and you look to CalPayArt, it's going to price-wise look very similar. But with regards to bringing in a wrench that you've got to wield or bringing in a handyman, that is naturally your choice, and your handyman is going to be here whenever you need it. You know what I mean? So that's without getting into a whole lot of minutia about things, about, specifics about what a paymaster does. I figure the metaphor might be a little bit more apropos in this context.
I'll also say that there is a difference working with a nonprofit than a for-profit company. And Austin Creative Alliance, like California for the Arts, is a nonprofit. So again, they're not looking to make profits. They're looking to offer services. They serve the sector. And what this can also mean is that when challenging situations arise, they're invested in making sure that there is a good and equitable solution. They don't see it as an annoyance, which I think almost any other paymaster would. They really take it on for our very small organization. So recently there was an issue with the employee portal and the onboarding platform where there was a question about the employee's gender, and it didn't offer a non-binary option. And obviously this was of great concern. I think I can say this to Celebration Theater, one of the country's oldest LGBTQI plus producing organizations. And it took some time. It took a couple of weeks of really pushing, but CalPayArt was successful in getting that, that question changed inside the platform to make sure that all California artists could comfortably and accurately identify themselves.
Martha, I think to our knowledge, we are the only nonprofit paymaster in the country. So that makes CalPayArt truly a fairly unicorn solution to this kind of work.
Let's just see if there are any other questions. In terms of the administration of required tax reporting and payments, does this process allow the paymaster to submit taxes on behalf of the organization?
When you use CalPayArts as a paymaster, we pay all the taxes and we make all of the filings. We don't necessarily do it on behalf of your organization because we do it en masse. with all of the other employees that are working in California. Make sense?
Yeah, the Austin Creative Alliance or CalPayArt becomes the employer of record. So the wage checks or the direct deposits will come from that entity on your behalf. So they will also do all the tax filings for all of your employees, issue the W-2s or 1099s if they're contractors. They will do all of that, but it's not in the name of your organization. It is for those employees for whom they are actually the employer of record.
Yes.
It just means that they handle everything to do with payroll. It doesn't mean that they are responsible for the safe and sanitary working conditions in your venue, but it does mean that they are responsible for everything related to tax and tax employment, employment and tax laws.
Yes.
That might be it. Any other hands today? Any other questions? Okay, well then I really want to thank you, Laura and Chris.
There's a question in the Q&A.
Sorry.
Apologies if I missed this during the presentation. Could someone talk through how the cost of the paymaster is determined?
The cost of the paymaster is determined as a percentage of gross wages. Now, the standard fee rate for that is 5% of gross wages. This is one of the things that your DPA will work with you on, depending on what work you bring over to us, especially if, like, say, if you're bringing in your actors for just doing a production, it'll be the 5% of gross wages. Now, if you're including per diems or reimbursables or anything else, it's gross wages. Per diems are not considered gross wages, so it's literally 5% of gross wages. Now, if you're looking at wanting to bring your full-time staff and say you've got an executive director that's making $150,000 a year, that is a lot of 5%, right? We don't charge you for that 5% for those long, especially the long-term employees. Your DPA will work with you to determine exactly what that rate is going to be, and it only goes lower. The fee will never be higher than 5%. There was one possible anomaly that could have, but and it was with regards to a production that wanted to use a lot of pyrotechnics and really big dangerous stunts, and the fee is never going to be above 5%. That's just across the board.
So that is the fee for the paymaster services.
Yes, that's the fee for the
Then
services.
to secure the workers' compensation, that is also assessed at a rate of 5% of gross wages. And
That's correct.
yeah.
We have also, just without getting too far in the weeds, with regards to workman's comp, we have worked out a matrix based on our industry knowledge and what we've learned from doing this work specifically for this program. We've also created an additional matrix of workman's comp. So you will never be paying more than 5% of gross wages on workman's comp for anybody, but you could potentially be paying less than that depending on the position. Your DPA would work with you to determine exactly what that would look like.
And I should probably address this. That is what came up on that slide about custom solutions available. One of the things that we heard early on from potential clients on this program was that they really wanted a one-stop shop where they could bring over all of their employees. And while they felt the pricing was great for the production workers, for full-time staff, they felt that it was not as economical a solution. And so through conversations with Laura and the CEO at Austin Creative Alliance, they developed this matrix that looks at some of your long-term permanent employees and looks at ways that can be managed a little bit more economically so that it becomes really so that CalPayArt can be a one-stop shop. But all of these things are done on a customized basis. It's hard to make it because every situation is so unique, is so different.
Yes, and whereas we're not an insurance broker, we did also loop in our insurance broker to make sure that we were targeting in the same realm as you would with any other insurance broker that you're shopping with. Fundamentally speaking, every company is different, but We really wanted to make sure that we were making this as holistic an experience as possible with regards to what your experience would be outside of this little program. I was going to say microcosm, but this program.
Coming back to, the differences between the paymaster and the payroll company in terms of cost. So you have your paymaster fee and the workers' comp. Then there's the unemployment insurance piece of it, which we addressed earlier in the webinar. And then there are just the straight federal employment taxes, and there's no upcharge on any of that. It's just what the government charges. So that's the total picture of what the
Cost.
The cost would be. Yeah.
Checks.
Did I
There's
hear
also the
someone say the
$5.
word checks?
There's also the $5 per check.
Oh, right.
Oh, yes. $5 per person per payroll. We call it the stamp. If you mail a letter with the US Post Office, it requires a stamp. There is that one hard cost that we negotiated down as low as we could with our payroll service. So that, yes, is joined with the fee of the gross wages that we mentioned earlier. Thank you, and I appreciate it.
Here's a great question. How do hours or timesheets get submitted? Do employees do it, or can the employer submit it to CalPayArts?
Yes.
The employees do it.
Yes to all of it.
Yep.
It really depends on how you want to run your business. If you want to keep that work in-house so that you can check it before you send it over, that's how we'll take it. If you'd rather your people working on the clock through our system, we'll do that as well. It's part of the customization of whatever you are wanting to do. We will try and make it happen for you. We currently do it all across the board with our existing clients right now.
Terry, maybe I can bring you into close unless you see any other questions that I've missed.
I don't think so. I think that you guys have answered everything, and we've got a lot of great information, and everybody should have the contact information so that they can ask any follow-up questions. I'm going to post things in the chat one last time for the various contacts. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Austin Creative, for being great partners and being here today with so much great information. And we will release everyone to go off and have a fabulous Wednesday afternoon. Thank you all.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.